I guess over the history of our office in Mississauga, we're a little further away from the Square One area, so that tends to be a little more common to see things like bankruptcies. But for us in this particular office, a lot more, probably about 60% proposals. Don't know why, just people coming in, they typically don't even want to hear anything about bankruptcy, although we're required to go through it with them because, it's part of the legals. No such thing as a minimum. Well, that's not technically true. There is a minimum under the law, and the minimum would be $1,000. That the law says you cannot declare yourself insolvent unless you meet the criteria of owing more than $1,000. Proposals are typically designed over a 5-year period because that's the restriction that the law puts. You're not allowed to go beyond 5 years. So most of them are designed over 5 years so that the person has the freedom to be able to shorten it if they want, but completely open. No interest, no penalties, no restrictions. Most proposals are designed over 5 years, but they end up actually paying out short of 4. Right around the 4-year mark, just because most of the time people, after they get over the halfway hump, about 2.5 years in, they start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and want to pay it off faster, so they start ramping up their payments a little bit. Plus they've had a chance to get reorganized and start realizing the value in getting these things out of the way. Well, it still exists. All the debts are still there. They've just agreed to sit back and wait and see whether or not you can satisfy the agreement that was made. Until the last penny's been paid and ultimately the final signatures are in place, verifying that you've met the terms of your end of the agreement, then the debt still exists and can still blow back on you. Unfortunately, every once in a while, we'll have a file that does that. But very, very rarely will a file ever get past the halfway mark and then not complete. Most files that don't make it fail in the first year or so. And that's just because everybody wants to do it, but overextends themselves. They don't properly accommodate to what the reality of their expenses really are, and they think, oh yeah, I can find money, I can cut back, I can make this work, just so that I can avoid the bankruptcy. Getting a mortgage is still rather difficult because you're dealing with the fact that most of your problems existed before you walked into the proposal, and the fact that the debt still exists. But renewal of mortgages typically is not a problem. We always advise them that you want to typically take or look for your automatic renewal. Right? So you're already in the mortgage, you're already making your payment. As long as you've never missed any payments, they're just going to want to auto renew you anyway. So car loans, though, I believe is easier, for the most part, it's easier to get a car loan while you're in a proposal as opposed to a bankruptcy. However, most car lenders don't really care too much either way, whether you're in a bankruptcy or a proposal. They're just happy that you're not dealing with outstanding debts and have creditors looming over you trying to look to garnish you or something like that. Of course, you'll always pay for it in the higher interest rates, but that's just their way of trying to make sure they make enough money to cover their risks. So hard to blame them. They're happy to lend it to you. Their money's in the car, not in you necessarily.